Ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys Nation, football fans, and sports lovers all around, brace yourselves, because what just unfolded in Dallas has sent ripples across the entire NFL landscape. I don't say this lightly, this might be the most shocking development we've seen from the Cowboys in years. If you've been following the offseason even a little bit, you know things were already heating up, but no one was prepared for what just happened. The Dallas Cowboys have announced a major, unexpected departure that has stunned fans, disrupted locker room chemistry, and left the front office scrambling to reassure a fanbase that's already been on edge since their postseason letdown last year. This isn't a routine roster change or a low-tier player being cut to make cap space. This is a core player, a locker room voice, and someone many believed was vital to the identity of this franchise. We're talking about the sudden, unexpected, and honestly emotionally jarring exit of one of the Dallas Cowboys' defensive cornerstones. A player who's been in the trenches, made game-altering plays, and worn the star with pride. Now, he's gone, and the way it happened? Even more surprising. There was no warning, no rumors from beat reporters, no leaks on Twitter or late-night whispers from anonymous insiders. This announcement came like a bombshell, clean, cold, and absolute. A short statement from the team, followed by an emotional farewell from the player, and suddenly an entire generation of Cowboys fans is left asking, what just happened? Why now? And what does this mean for the 2025 season? When news first broke that the Cowboys were parting ways with Demarcus Lawrence, fans were in disbelief. Many assumed it was fake news or perhaps a misreported contract situation. After all, Lawrence had been a face of the Dallas defense for over a decade, a consistent pass-rushing threat, a locker room leader, and a man whose name echoed through at Stadium every time he made a stop. But no, this was no mistake. Demarcus Lawrence is officially out. And to make matters more intriguing, reports suggest this wasn't just about money. Sources close to the situation indicate that tensions had been brewing internally for months. Rumors are swirling that Lawrence was frustrated with how the team handled its playoff failures, feeling the defensive scheme had grown stale, and that leadership didn't value his role the way they used to. This wasn't just a contractual or age-related decision, this was a philosophical split. And for a team that was already looking to rebuild pieces of its roster, losing a veteran like Lawrence creates a vacuum both on the field and in the locker room. The reaction from fans was immediate and intense. Social media exploded with emotion. Reddit threads lit up within minutes. Fans on X, formerly Twitter, were venting, speculating, and sharing tributes. Some expressed heartbreak, calling Lawrence the last of a dying breed. Others were furious with ownership, particularly Jerry Jones, demanding answers and transparency about what exactly led to this decision. There were even long-time season ticket holders publicly stating they're considering not renewing unless the organization shows a clear plan moving forward. That's the level of impact we're talking about here. And while some of that is the typical emotion you'd expect from a passionate fanbase, a lot of it feels different this time. There's a genuine sense of loss, of confusion, of betrayal, even. It's not just about the stats or the cap hit, it's about losing a symbol of continuity, toughness, and leadership. And then, just as fans were still trying to digest the Lawrence departure, boom, another name followed. Jourdan Lewis, the ever-dependable slot cornerback, also gone. His exit, while less shocking than Lawrence's, was still unexpected, especially given his productivity last season. Lewis had quietly become a foundational piece in the Cowboys' secondary, providing steady play and veteran experience in a unit that already has its share of youth. The fact that he's now gone, reportedly signing a deal with a rival NFC team, has only deepened the wound for fans. Now, with both Lawrence and Lewis out, the Cowboys find themselves without two key defensive pieces, and the timing couldn't be worse. We're just weeks away from training camp. This isn't the moment you want to be patching up holes. This is when you're supposed to be finalizing game plans and building chemistry, not frantically reconfiguring your defensive identity. So where does this leave the Dallas Cowboys going forward? Well, for starters, all eyes are now on Micah Parsons. The third-year linebacker, already a superstar, is being thrust into an even bigger leadership role. With Lawrence gone, The pass rush now depends almost entirely on Parsons, along with rotational guys like Dante Fowler Jr. and Sam Williams, who have shown flashes but haven't yet proven they can consistently deliver under pressure. Parsons has the talent, no doubt, but the burden is heavy. He's no longer just the highlight reel guy, he's the centerpiece, the anchor, the glue. And that raises the question, is he ready? Can he thrive not just as an athlete but as the emotional leader this defense desperately needs? On the back end, the loss of Jordan Lewis puts more responsibility on younger players and recent draftees. Trevon Diggs is still recovering from injury, and while he's expected to be back in form, the secondary will now rely heavily on untested talent. Names like Darren Bland and Israel Mukuamu suddenly matter more than ever. That's a risky proposition in a conference filled with elite quarterbacks and explosive receivers. The front office is trying to fill these holes with mid-tier signings and a heavy emphasis on player development, but the reality is that experience can't be taught overnight. And in a league where the margin of error is razor thin, lack of experience can be costly. Meanwhile, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys brass have stayed largely silent. There's been no extended press conference, no public Q&A, and no detailed explanation about why these decisions were made. That silence has only fueled speculation. Some fans believe this is a precursor to a major philosophical shift, a tear down and rebuild disguised as a roster refresh. Others think it's a short-term cap strategy, an attempt to clear space for upcoming contract extensions like CeeDee Lamb and possibly Dak Prescott, whose own future with the team remains murky. Either way, the communication void from the team's leadership is doing more harm than good. In a moment this emotional, fans crave transparency. They want to know there's a plan, a vision, a reason to believe. One thing's for sure, the locker room is different now. Whether players admit it or not, when veterans like Lawrence and Lewis walk out, it changes the culture. Younger players lose mentors, position groups lose anchors, and coaches lose trusted voices who help set the tone. The impact of these departures goes beyond the box score. It seeps into practice habits, game preparation, and team confidence. The Cowboys will need to rebuild that leadership organically and fast. On offense, the pressure grows exponentially. With the defense potentially regressing, Dak Prescott and company will need to shoulder more of the burden. CeeDee Lamb, who just signed a massive extension, now carries not just the WR1 title but also the weight of being a franchise cornerstone. Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson, and Tony Pollard all need to deliver and then some. This offense was solid last season but will need to be elite in 2025 if Dallas wants to stay competitive in a loaded NFC. And let's not forget the elephant in the room, Mike McCarthy. The head coach is entering a pivotal season. After years of underachievement, playoff flameouts, and now key player exits, the pressure on him is sky high. The fanbase is divided. Some still believe in his system, pointing to regular season success and offensive improvement. Others are calling for a fresh voice, arguing that McCarthy's leadership has gone stale. His performance this season may very well determine whether he stays or goes. In the end, this is a franchise at a crossroads. The Cowboys have always been a team with big dreams, big personalities, and big expectations. But right now, the future feels uncertain. The unexpected departures of Demarcus Lawrence and Jordan Lewis have rocked the foundation, and how the team responds in the coming weeks will shape not just the 2025 season but the next 5 years of Cowboys football. Will they rise to the challenge, rally behind new leaders, and prove the doubters wrong? Or will this be remembered as the moment everything began to unravel? Only time will tell, but one thing's certain, the eyes of the NFL world are now locked on Dallas. And if history has taught us anything, it's that when the Cowboys are in the spotlight, drama is never far behind. So buckle up, folks, because this season is going to be a wild ride.